I don't remember who I was talking to, but this is what I said. Well, if you ever do choose to watch the Star Wars movies, you can always discuss them with me. While I'm a fan, I understand it has many faults, and I'm no longer starry-eyed about it. I believe your sensibilities would enjoy the first three movies made, episodes 4 to 6, as they are less computer flashy if you get the unedited versions. Look for them for sure. He kind of ruins everything by adding CGI to things that never needed in the first movies in the first place. Some things were good, but they just went overboard for the most part. But it's a nice story. It can't be anything you haven't seen, and most of the major spoilers are common knowledge to anyone who isn't even a Star Wars fan, i.e. everyone knows who Vader's related to, and everyone already knows what Yoda looks like. So nothing new will be revealed to you. There might be a little hidden secret here and there that I'm leaving out intentionally. But if you enjoy well-developed visuals and a generally fun space drama, including battles and creatures and neat machines and robots, but also plenty of lush natural environments with some hokey Wild Western meets old samurai movie style lines and characters, then I think you'll have at least some fun with them. If that doesn't get you at least a little interested, then I did all I'll do to try. Otherwise, yeah, I can totally understand not wanting to see Star Wars now after what's become with the prequels. On their own, they might not be bad. Phantom Menace is a mess. But because they have the label Star Wars attached to them, we all expected a lot better. Excuse me, a lot more faithfulness to the Star Wars feel, and a lot less pointless, hey, look at me, I'm only here to make sure the children in the audience are still awake. Flashiness and better acting and directing could have made these prequels fucking awesome. But they're lame. The stories are horrible if you pick them apart, but at least the action is entertaining to watch in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is the only one I recommend outright. Ramped up drama, ramped up story, Darth Vader is born with its glaring flaws too, but a lot better made. I also give a nod to Attack of the Clones for being just a lot of fun. Just don't pay attention to the creepy love story. I mean, if that's the way George Lucas hits on women, I mean, that says a lot. Anyway, but stay away from Phantom Menace. Besides being utterly boring, it has nothing but annoying characters being annoying, and big badass characters who had top advertising who you want to see being killed off without even getting a chance to develop or do anything important. I know killing off a major character can be a shock factor that hooks into people's subconscious, but we need to hear more than one line of dialogue from that character to be made to care about them somehow first. Instead of an emotional shock, it comes off more as just a bad idea that shouldn't have been there in the first place. Darth Maul I'm talking about. So that's all I'll say. If you want to try any Star Wars, most of the hardcore Star Wars nerds would not fault you for skipping episodes 1, 2, and 3 to just watch the classics 4, 5, and 6. A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Bad acting all around in those as well, but this was 77, 80, and 83. That was to be a little more expected. At least it had Harrison Ford, and real Darth Vader, and real backgrounds, real natural environments. But yeah, Harrison Ford, I sort of underestimated his part in it. His character kind of drove the franchise. I mean, Luke technically is the main character, but without Han's quick wittiness, that would be more like a Phantom Menace type movie. It would be so boring and uninteresting. I sense I've gone a little too far, but anyway, so as you can see, I won't hate you if you say, meh, they're okay. If you do finally decide to watch one or two Star Wars movies, people hail these as the greatest movies of all time, but their faults are still obvious to unstar-glazed eyes. Like, Luke's whining, and a lot of editing glitches, and stormtroopers hitting their head on the door. But they're still very fun and worth your time to watch and enjoy. The classic trilogy and Revenge of the Sith, maybe Attack of the Clones anyway. But don't watch Revenge of the Sith until you've seen 4, 5, and 6, or Attack of the Clones. Or else the emotional impact of the ending of Sith won't mean anything to you. I don't mean Vader's ending, but the scenes with Luke, when Luke and Leia are born and then sent to their hiding places. Not a spoiler, she begins the movie pregnant. Amidala begins the movie pregnant with Luke and Leia. And we all know what happens before, well, sort of before A New Hope. And Luke and Leia just can't not be born, you know? But the whole thing, what sunk me was the ending of Sith when they showed Luke and Leia being born and they played Leia's theme. I mean, I grew up with the Star Wars soundtrack. My dad got me a tape, and I listened to that tape over and over and over and over and over and over again. I never cared for Leia's theme so much because it was, you know, slow and kind of boring. But the fact that they played it when Leia was born, it brought me to tears at the end of the movie. I'm like, oh my god, they actually did that! Like, just the little things like that, and walking through the white hallways of the, oh, I feel bad for not forgetting the name of the ship, but it was a Corellian Corvette, as it was designated in X-Wing games. You know, the one that in the first movie, in the first Star Wars movie, Episode 4, the ship that Leia's on, that Vader takes over in the Star Destroyer and captures Leia. The fact that they showed that scene and they showed Yoda being sent off to Dagobah, and I think his relation to Chewie was really just sort of just added in for fan service. It did not seem to fit at all. I mean, sure, they went to Kashyyyk, but really, did he have to meet Chewie? I mean, Chewie was probably at that point, well, I guess not. He wouldn't have been a slave yet. Because the story goes like Han saved him from slavery, and that's why Chewie has a life debt on Han, and Han hangs around with Han all his life and is pretty much his best friend. But yeah, now I'm just rambling. So yeah, see the Star Wars movies, see 4, 5, and 6, maybe 2 and 3. Stay away from 1 unless you really want extra continuity, but it doesn't really add anything, and not watching it doesn't really remove anything other than Jar Jar, the larger influence of Jar Jar, because he's greatly subdued in the second 2 and 3, so Lucas learned that lesson pretty quick. Anywho, Star Wars will get you rambling.